The following program is produced at and funded by Lyndon State College, the college of the Northeast Kingdom.
On tonight's edition of News 7.
Town Meeting Day madness has finally come to a close in the Northeast Kingdom. We've got your results from the Granite State.
With winters hitting the road hard this year, crews have started repairs for safe travels.
And as temperatures rise, the water begins to flow. Towns start preparing for flood season. We'll be bringing you that and more over the next half hour.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
The ballots have been counted and New Hampshire's town meeting results are in. Good evening, I'm Kevin Kelleher.
And I'm Kelly O'Brien. Residents approved $1.3 million to construct a new town garage. Also passing was funding for a new police cruiser and safety equipment. A controversial plan to increase the size of the select board to 5 members failed, and a proposed to give $500,000 to renovate the riverfront area won a majority vote, but failed to meet the 60% needed for supermajority.
The results for Haverhill are in as well. Christina Herbert will serve her first full term as town clerk. Howard Hatch will serve on the Board of Trustees, and Lynn Wheeler, along with Thomas Friel, were both selected to serve on the Select Board. All of the proposed expenditures passed for Town Meeting Day, the biggest of which is the $150,000 to go in a reserve fund and the $60,000 to add a police chief. The only thing that did not pass for the town was a vote to alter Airport Road, an airport road that passes the south runway of the Dean Memorial Airport. The town wanted to change the location of the road to reduce the risk of liability in the event of an air disaster. However, the cost of such a project would be thousands of dollars. More discussions will be held on when and where the proposed money will be spent next week.
112 voters took on the polls for local elections in Monroe yesterday. Junkyard issues were the only topic that caused controversy at last night's town meeting. The town voted against appropriating money for legal expenses to get rid of junkyards. During the second half of the meeting, the school discussion went smoothly, with every article passing.
And this just in, after an accident in Newberry, Route 5 is now closed. Vermont State Police officers are asking drivers to find alternative roads for transportation for those who are traveling north to Newberry and south to Bradford. We'll keep you updated if traffic conditions change. The Vermont Agency of Transportation highway crews were out today filling potholes on Interstate 91. One section of the highway that has been hit hard this winter, the bridge heading northbound near exit 24. The passing lane was closed for several hours today due to crews working, and Linden AOT says that they will continue their efforts to repair parts of the roads when necessary. However, it is still difficult for them to do so when daytime temperatures get above freezing and then dip below.
The Vermont Transportation Permit application is now complete for new sidewalks to be constructed in East Burke. The project will go out to bid next month. Construction is planned to start and be finished by this summer. The project will be constructed by VTrans.
An issue 9 months in the making was open to public commentary in Burke. Mike Mathers proposed to allow recreational use campgrounds in East and West Burke villages. Last night, some residents like Brenda Laramie expressed their concerns about what this would mean for homeowners. If this could create a, quote, tent city or on their lawn, Mathers says it is necessary to pass campers so campers could have contained places to go. They could stay in Burke villages at registered areas like his Tiki Bar property and the land that houses Burke Public House.
It's just, you need to give these guys places to go. That's all. It's like they're camping all over town. I got a great spot for it, I thought, and it's, I think I still do, but it's ended up being quite a process to get to that stage.
The public is invited to vote on this matter on April 13th from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Bidding to provide archaeological services to the Caledonia Courthouse ended today. The courthouse was built on top of an old cemetery and needs to be inspected. During the dig, the main will be closed and employees will work from an additional building on the back of the courthouse.
Vermont State Police have arrested a man who they believe to be the alleged suspect of the TD Bank robbery in Enosburg Falls. Police say 30-year-old Jacob Rayum of Highgate robbed the bank and then took off. Rayum was arrested yesterday and was held overnight in Northwest Regional Correctional Facility, and his arraignment came today in St. Albans District Court, where he pleaded not guilty.
A Vermont resident is going to prison for over 4 years for conspiring to distribute cocaine. 45-year-old Albert Johnson pleaded guilty to the charge of conspiring to sell heroin and cocaine back in November. He has been in custody since. Johnson just received his final court sentence Friday and will be serving 55 months behind bars.
58 new officers may be hired to work in the state's 7 correctional facilities. The Association of State Correctional Administrators is asking for a 1.1% increase in funding in the governor's proposed 2016 budget. The 7 correctional facilities are located in Newport, Swanton, South Burlington, St. Johnsbury, Rutland, Windsor, and Springfield. Now, the Department of Commerce has proposed to create 60 new beds for the out-of-state federal prisoners in Vermont jails. This would keep more Vermont inmates in prisons outside the state.
Today, the Vermont State Police has announced the formation of a new major crime unit. The unit is all experienced investigators who will look into complex criminal cases. 5 detectives have been assigned to the major crime unit and will be supervised by Detective Lieutenant Craig Lepore. The 26-year-old veteran and his team will undergo specialized training on the investigation of major crimes. The unit will receive support from Crime Scene Search Team and all BCI detectives across Vermont.
Senator Bernie Sanders is not happy about the interests of corporations and their budgets. Sanders has found holes in budget plans and says it's not right that people want to cut certain funding where the people need help. Sanders made a statement saying, quote, "People who are extremely wealthier are telling us to cut Social Security benefits for some of the most vulnerable people in America."
Not only do they want to make cuts in health care, nutrition, education, heating assistance, food stamps, Meals on Wheels, and affordable housing, they also want to cut Social Security benefits for elderly seniors in Vermont and throughout this country struggling to survive on $14,000 or $15,000 a year or less.
Sanders finished his statement by saying these budget cuts are advice that he will not stand for as a senator.
Legislature is attempting to crack down on human trafficking. Legislators met on the Senate floor to discuss their views on the matter. The anti-human trafficking bill passed the Senate Judiciary Committee last month, but there were issues dealing with money, and it would prohibit a restitution fund from being spent on abortions.
I'm one of the few members of either party in this body who's actually prosecuted child molesters. I'm one of the few members in this body who's actually gone to crime scenes and seen the results of child molesters. I'm one of the few people in this body who's prosecuted a child molester not from evidence from the child, because the child was dead.
Texas Senator John Cornyn and Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy will continue to work on this bill despite the frustration between Democrats and Republicans.
The Vermont Senate extended protections for the right to die law. When the bill was passed in 2013, it included an amendment which would have stripped patients of their protections in 2016. The protections include a waiting period and doctor reviews before patients are allowed to die. Those measures are designed to prevent patients from making a rash decision to end their lives. Former NFL player O.J. Brigance is taking the stand against the right to die law. Brigance lives in Maryland, where the bill is also being discussed through legislators. The former linebacker and Super Bowl winner was diagnosed with ALS 8 years ago. Brigance still believes he's living a good life and thinks other people with severe health problems can do the same.
I don't know how many days I have left to live, but each and every one has a purpose. The thought that there would be a legal avenue for an individual to take his or her own life in a moment of despair, robbing family, friends, and society of their presence and contribution to society deeply saddens me.
The right to die allows terminally ill patients with less than a year to live to take their own lives if they wish.
The Vermont House has passed a bill that would prevent utilities from selling renewable energy credits to out-of-state consumers. It would also count the same credit towards meeting Vermont's renewable energy goals. This bill also calls for Vermont to set up its own requirement in which utilities can get specific percentage of their power from renewable sources, increasing up to 75% of their by the year 2032. The bill will now move on to the Vermont Senate. Spring is just around the corner, and with all the snow on the ground, it also means a flooding season. That's why Wheelock is looking into getting flood insurance from FEMA and State Rivers Corridor Program. The conversation dominated last night's town meeting, where discussions lasted for almost 45 minutes. Part of the town along Route 122 lies in a FEMA-designated Zone A floodplain. The town currently has no flood insurance and is looking to help defer some costs in the near future.
The town is always responsible for partial funding if we're in these programs and we get a natural disaster, flooding event, erosion event. The town is still on the hook for a certain portion, but it's way, way less than what we would have to pay if we were not in that program. Then we'd be footing almost the entire bill for many of those.
This is a new topic for the town, and the conversations about flood coverage will be ongoing. And now AJ Waterman joins us with our first look at our forecast. Beautiful day out there, AJ. Are we going to see another one like it tomorrow?
Well, it was a beautiful day outside. Take a look at these temperatures right now into the middle 40s and even some 50s on the board. But unfortunately, tonight we're going to be seeing a cold front arrive and bring us some more seasonable conditions, temperatures, at least for the next couple of days. Current snow depth shows us that we've seen a lot of warm temperatures and a lot of snow melt. Right now, 15 inches right now in St. Johnsbury, 34 in Whitefield, and 8 inches left in Burlington. So lots of warm air has allowed that snow to melt, and we've lost about 10 inches in the past week. Satellite and radar showing us some cloud cover that we saw this morning now burning off to mostly sunny skies as we head into the evening hours, all out ahead of that cold front that looks to bring us some colder air later on tonight and some increasing clouds as well. Starting at 40 degrees around 7 p.m. tonight, then dropping to about 31 degrees with some light snow showers starting, and northwesterly winds will be picking up into the overnight hours tonight. And I'll have all the details on the rest of the week's forecast coming up in just a bit, including a potential for a major snowstorm this weekend. I'll have all that coming up in just a minute.
Thanks, AJ. And with that warmer weather coming, it's almost amusement park season. One family is finally set to go on trial after causing a brawl last year at a park.
Rural Edge is receiving $500,000 in grant money, but what's that money going to be used for? We'll have all the answers after the break.